I have a brain tumor. Like, I have a brain tumor.
Kenzie Ziegler sent shockwaves all over the internet a while ago when she revealed that she struggles with her health, because we didn't know it was so bad that she even passed out on the freeway. This came as a shock to many because it revealed just how much damage dance moms caused these kids. But there's a twist, loves. Unfortunately, Kenzie also said something that didn't sit well with a lot of people, and we need to talk about this. This is super serious, y'all, so let's just dive right into it.
I mean, I have a brain tumor. Like, I have a brain tumor. But yeah, it was really tricky because no one understood what I was going through because it sounded so severe, and I think people thought I was being dramatic mostly. Maddie and I both have anxiety. Maddie deals with it way differently than I do. Like, Maddie wants you to distract her.
I can send you the address.
He didn't bring his phone, so...
Oh, I can give you the address.
No need.
Can't hurt.
Might hurt.
Kenzie Ziegler just can't seem to catch a break, y'all. Just when we thought she was still healing from her breakup with Takata Dubs after deleting pics of each other from IG. And we will come to learn that later she recently revealed that heartbreaks are the least of her worries right now because she is not fine on the inside. And the worst part is she hasn't been fine for a very long time. I mean, years, you guys. Now, before we get into the heart of the matter, let me just give you some background info for context. It all went down during a podcast session, and as y'all can already predict, every time these former Dance Moms cast members get interviewed, they'll always be asked about the post-effects of Dance Moms competitions because it's a known fact that Dance Moms really took a mental toll on them.
I don't really need producers. I could probably make a kid cry in 30 seconds. I know exactly what to say to a child to make them run to their mother and then get their mother all ticked off.
Just imagine putting kids in such a super toxic and competitive space. It was the worst period of their lives because it ended up messing with their self-esteem and self-confidence. Just to remind you of how bad things were at Dance Moms, most of the girls literally blocked out some of the moments of the show. Like, they just can't even remember certain episodes.
Is your mother speaking
your
for you?
finger
Do you
out
want to
of
be
my face, girls, out the room. Yeah, you idiot.
At one point, Maddie confirmed that she still gets shocked when videos of her as a kid pop up online, and she literally never recalls doing or saying certain things. The brain does this to protect you from pain or a very difficult period in your past. So, yep, the show that made them who they are today is the very same one that broke them to the core. Anyways, back to Kenzie. So, on the podcast, she talked about her mental health struggles and just how bad her anxiety can get.
I grew up on a reality show. I definitely had some struggles during the show and during filming just because I was incredibly anxious, but I had no idea what it meant.
Kenzie narrated having panic attacks and how she'd shake so much she'd literally feel like she was losing her mind. Remember, guys, Mackenzie was on Dance Moms from 6 to 11 years old, so you can imagine the torture chambers that show was.
I would have panic attacks and I would shake a lot, and it was not as bad as it was after I got off the show, but no one really told me what it was.
What Kenzie described in the podcast isn't something a kid should ever go through. It's an experience I only used to hear adults talk about when they were talking about toxic work environments, and so to think she had this weight on her as a kid, as if she had major financial responsibility, when in fact she was just a minor who needed to be cared and protected for and allowed to play with slime like normal kids. Unfortunately for Kenzie, Maddie, and the other Dance Moms girls, their moms had signed a deal with the devil, and so the girls paid dearly.
So after I got off the show, I went to therapy when I was 12 or 13, I think it was. And they were like, oh, you 1,000% have anxiety. And I knew that I had something wrong with me because I started to disassociate a lot, which was like really weird for me because I hate being not in control of my body no matter what the circumstances. Like it's a weird feeling. It's an out of body experience that I feel like you only understand if you've disassociated.
Now, with that in mind, this brings us to the meat of the story, which is also the point where things took a nosedive to this rather sad story, and it got people super mad.
But I remember the first time I had a really, really bad panic attack where I was like, oh, I know something's wrong with me. you know when you feel that like anxiety wave come, it honestly, it feels like a wave like throughout your entire body. And I just fully felt like high. Like I just felt like I was not there physically. And I just remember like freaking out. I was shaking, I was sobbing. I was also like nonverbal. Like I couldn't speak. Like it was just such a weird feeling for me, and that's when that all started.
Yep, that right there is what anxiety feels like. Anyone who has had an episode will tell you that when anxiety attacks, you're no longer in control of your body, and it can get so bad that you physically struggle to breathe or speak. But there is more to this, guys. Let's take a listen.
I'm also a hypochondriac. So the two put together is the worst combo actually ever.
Hypochondriac? Don't worry, loves, I looked it up for you, and it simply means someone who is abnormally anxious about their health. So Mackenzie clearly struggles with anxiety, and to make matters worse, she's one of those people who's always constantly worried about their health. Do you know anyone like that? These are people who, when their left eye twitches, they immediately run to Google to find out what's happening to them. And by the way, guys, that's the worst mistake you can ever make, because is it just me, or does Google blow things out of proportion? You could have a mild yet persistent headache at the back of your head, and when you ask Google what that is, the results will literally look like a death sentence. Google will scare you with answers like, that's a symptom of an advanced brain tumor. I'm not even kidding, guys. Don't do it. Speaking of brain tumor, guys, as Kenzie was explaining this weird combination of crippling anxiety and hypochondria, that's when she said she had a brain tumor.
I have a brain tumor. Like, I have a brain tumor.
I believe I speak for all of you when I say that this came off pretty disturbing. Maybe Kenzie would have said something like, I'm dealing with chronic anxiety, and I'm also someone who's abnormally anxious about my health, to the point that at one time I thought I had a brain tumor. But you see, she threw the brain tumor thing out there and left it at that, which ruined the entire podcast session, and in the end, nobody remembered all the important mental state issues Kenzie had talked about. Not that people didn't sympathize with her, but she should have talked about her severe anxiety without mentioning brain tumor, especially the way she did, because it sounded clickbaity and gave people the wrong impression. And you guys, the internet went wild.
I have a brain tumor. Like, I have a brain tumor.
You see what I mean? A brain tumor? Why didn't she say anything? Jeez. This is something to not joke about. It's not funny, and this should be reported. So she doesn't have a brain tumor. She said she is a hypochondriac, meaning according to the dictionary's definition of the word, she is a person who is abnormally anxious about her health. Giving her a break now because, as she says, she is an anxious person, but no one should even joke about having a brain tumor. Mackenzie even said that her anxiety got so bad one day that she literally passed out on the freeway. Like, y'all, imagine driving your car and the next thing you know, you're feeling some sort of wave through your body, gasping for breath, shaking, your head is spinning, and then you black out. Luckily for her, she bounced back super fast before things got worse. We all know how that would have ended.
It was so insane. Like, I fully I blacked out, and I woke up and my car was still going because my foot was on the gas.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, and I got off on the next exit, and I called my mom.
However, guys, you won't believe the weirdest part of this freeway disaster. Believe it or not, Kenzie was having anxiety because she was scared of performing. Such a super talented icon panicking over performance, that's how bad the after effects of Dance Moms were to these kids. I mean, come on. You'd think that dancing was one of the things that lit up Kenzie's world because she's so good at it. She was literally born with it. But to get to a point where not only she can't perform, but her body system literally collapses at the thought of performing, I'm speechless. I just have no words.
I'm scared of performing. I get panic attacks before I perform, and even when I did the USC dance thing, I was staring at a stage and I almost passed out. It's just, I think that's obviously from being on a stage and then being scared I'm gonna get killed when I get off the stage, that's what that stems from.
So back to the day she passed out on the freeway, here's what happened. Kenzie had wanted her nose done for forever. She talked about wishing she could get her nose done even as a kid, and here she was super excited that the day had finally come. What Kenzie did not factor in was that she needed to be put under. I mean, it's a surgery.
I went to a lot of doctor's appointments and things beforehand, and I totally didn't realize I have to be put under for this. And I scared of passing out, also scared of going under. Same thing to me. I don't know.
Losing control.
Yeah, it's all about just not being in control of my body. And I was on the way to the dentist and I'm driving in my car and I'm like, oh my God, I have to go under. And my surgery was like 3 days after or something. And I start like freaking out, having a panic attack driving in my car. And then I pass out in my car while I'm on the freeway.
Poor Kenzie. The thought of being numbed for a few minutes during surgery felt like she was giving up control. It reminded her of being placed on stage, yelled at, and forced into an unhealthy competition with her fellow Dance Moms contestants. You know, guys, we've literally held everyone on the Dance Moms production crew accountable for what they did to these girls. Abby Lee has gotten her fair share of blame, the producers, Lifetime TV for airing the show, and even the moms for putting their kids through this. Heck, we've even blamed ourselves for watching the show for years, but here's the thing, the damage has been done. Yep, that is the bitter truth. These girls can never be the same and they can't rewrite their past. And so they have to deal with the effects of Dance Moms. They have to attend a lot of therapy sessions, and yet life goes on as if nothing happened. Just think about it. How much do you have to be scared of something you once loved that you literally pass out when you just think about it? But that is not all. As if to add salt to injury, Kenzie also went through what she said was the worst heartbreak she's ever experienced. She confirmed breaking up with her long-term boyfriend, Takata Dubs.
I recently went through a breakup. I was dating someone for a really, really, really long time. The longest I've ever dated someone. Thank you.
Kenzie said that the relationship ended pretty okay, that getting through the heartbreak phase was hell for her, and that she never experienced anything like that ever. Unfortunately for Kenzie, her anxiety checked in yet again during this difficult period in her life, to the point that she physically felt sick, guys. Like she would throw up. This can actually happen to people when they're going through a heartbreak, but for someone with chronic anxiety like Kenzie, it can also be a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it ended okay, and I mentally was fine because, you know, I've been through this a bunch of times and like whatever, it happens. And that's life. You just have to move on. But my body was like not well. Like it was like my brain was fine. Like I wasn't like I was of course sad. You're gonna be sad, but I was not like sobbing in my bed every day, and like I was going out, I was doing things, I was distracting myself.
So interesting.
And my body was like not registering what was going on. I've never felt that in my life. Like I was throwing up so much. Like and that was a different, I know a lot of people, one, when they go through a breakup, that they experience that, but also like when people have anxiety, sometimes their coping mechanism is throwing up. And I've never had that. And that was the first time where I've had that. And it was very interesting.
Mackenzie said she'd never experienced such a thing and was super shocked at the stuff the brain can do to help you cope with something. So there you have it, guys. Kenzie doesn't have a brain tumor. She just happened to have said it the wrong way and caused a frenzy on the internet. But we hope that she gets better. Mackenzie's fans have been so sad because she's literally such a darling and doesn't deserve all this suffering. Not only that, in a separate episode, Kenzie opened up about starting dating from a young age. Like by 12, she was in a full-on relationship, which of course ended up nowhere, but during the relationship, it felt like it was the only good thing in her life.
My first boyfriend was when I was like 12.
Okay.
Everyone says I move on pretty quick, which is true, I do. Because,
I think you do too.
But it's because of all the terrible men, I just have to move on quickly, because I'm like, I don't want to dread.
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell in that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I think real boyfriends, though, I've had like 3.
Okay.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
For being 19.
That's true.
I feel like, though, a lot of parents say that dating young is like a no-go, because it's like, for me, it helped me out a lot dating young, but also that person is not going to be your person most of the time, unless it's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing where you're a high school sweetheart and
literal soulmates.
And you're soulmates. But like,
that aside, Kenzie talked about how men can be mean and ruthless in dating scenes. Like her now ex-boyfriend Takata, Kenzie experienced the rudest shock of her life by finding out that he had cheated on, guess where? On the internet.
I saw her out she asked for my number, which I've known her for a really long time. Like, we used to Snapchat and like have a streak, but we never like hung out. So we used to Snapchat a lot. I thought she was so cool. She also like, I don't want to go into detail, but she was just really cool. But I see her out and she's like, I need to tell you something. So like, can I have your number? And I'm like, sure. Like, what is this? Whatever. I get home. I'm with my sister in her room. She FaceTimes me and she's telling me, your boyfriend cheated on you. This was the scenario. She knows way too much about this scenario. And I'm like, so who's this person? And she's like, I'm not telling you. I can't rat him out. Like, I know them. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no evidence. So like, what, you know? She was just being like super specific. And I was so confused. And then I found out it was her. She was the one that he cheated on me with.
Yep, being a celebrity can be such an extreme sport because sometimes people learn things about you before you even hear about them.
I like found out I got cheated on like on the internet.
There's more. Whew, Kenzie needs to find luck with love because boy, hasn't this girl suffered. The other struggle she's talked about is how much she hated dating people within the industry because in her experience, the people she has dated were always trying to do the same thing as her. And at some point, it would feel like a competition, especially because those people never had the best intentions for her.
Hate dating people in the industry. I hate it. Like I not because of the people, it's just because all of my ex-boyfriends were trying to do the same thing as me, which was kind of a little difficult because it felt like a competition in a way, not from my side, but from the other side. And I also think that you never know people's intentions with the people that are in the industry, you know, like the people that I have dated haven't always had the best intentions with me, and so I think that's why I'm traumatized from the industry, like dating, but it's just always ended badly.
I totally get her because we all see how these celebrity relationships go down, and sometimes the breakups get so nasty that whenever you think about love, you end up saying, nope, I'm good. Not that they've all been ugly, some celebrity relationships have actually thrived, but that's like 1 in every million. And sure, that element of competition is very true, especially if you end up with some jealous person who will try to bring you down so you don't become a bigger celebrity than them.
My ex-boyfriend, I like found out I got cheated on like on the internet. Oh, it's just wild. And then my boyfriend before that, I found out through a Hey Girlie DM. Like I said, I love love and I love having one person and I give my all to that person, but I've always gotten like fucked over because they're always the one that's just looking for the clout and not even like the relationship aspect. They're looking for how other people are going to react to them dating me.
Exactly.
And it's just like,
exactly.
if you're going to do
all
that,
for themselves.
Yeah.
Fortunately for her, Team Kenzie has really been cheering her on. I can't believe Takata cheated. They were together for so long and he seemed perfect for her. It seemed like a fairy tale. Well, I'm glad at least she found out and now can move on and heal. I hate to say it, but I got a bad sketchy vibe from him ever since the beginning. Sorry, Kenz, you deserve to be 110% happy with the person you are. God just removed a total sucker. Keep flying, mama. Anyways, what do they say? We live and we learn. And so Kenzie has had some advice for y'all about dating.
If I were to give anyone any advice about dating, I think just put yourself first no matter what. Because I will say I'm very bad at doing that.
Also, loves, I'm curious. Have you ever had a breakup so bad that you even threw up? And not once, but several times? Let me know down below. Anyways, that's it on the Kenzie drama. And keep it here, loves, for all the latest news on these celebrities and influencers.